Hey, good morning from Vietnam, Jim. Thanks a lot for spending your morning in India and when you on the work and vacation all together and spend your time with me and the audience of the Inside Sharing Show. On behalf of the listeners of the program, I want to say thank you.
Thank you for having me. Yeah, I'm right now in India. Yeah, 7:30 here. So early morning, Saturday morning from India.
Hey, Jim, I really admire your mission to train 10 million people around the world so that they can be more fulfilling and be themselves, be happier. And that is a very noble mission that you set out for yourself. And that's why I connect and I say, Jim, I want to bring you to the show and have you sharing uh, the journey and why you dedicating your works to doing this. And so in our culture, it's going to be a great honor if we can have our speakers to introduce about themselves. So would you please have to share with us a little bit about who you are and the work that you do?
Yeah, sure. So I'm Jim. I'm yeah. In the meantime, 54. I'm born in Belgium. Um, I loved to play football when I was a kid, and then yeah, there comes a moment that you decide what you want to do as a profession,
Uh-huh.
and I think a lot of people at the age of let's say 16, they don't know what they want to do. For me, it was the same. My dad was a doctor. First, I had the idea to become a doctor, and then my dad married for the second time, and his wife was in textile business, so I became, on his advice, a textile engineer. So that's yeah, that's what my profession became. Now, that time there was not a lot of business in Europe in textile, so everything was like moving towards China,
Mhm.
Vietnam.
Ah.
Yeah, the business was going away, so I was looking for a job, and yeah, there was not a, there were not a lot of jobs in textile, so I ended up in automotive. So I worked 10 years in automotive for a multinational, doing quality, doing also improvement programs, doing data, like, and then started to do lean manufacturing, Six Sigma. So really data-based engineering work, I would say it like that. And in that period, I also was convinced the moment that I can prove it, that I'm right. Now, proving with data that I was right. Now, there was one moment, and I had a discussion. I had a talk with a girl from HR, and she told me like, even if you have like numbers and data, I'm not interested. The moment that you are, if you are not able to touch me, then I'm not interested. So then I started like thinking. So that was the first time I started thinking, and I started like changing myself, like from a rather rational towards like a more, yeah, another person. So that was yeah, that was like the start of everything. Now, after I worked in automotive, I went to textile, so there was like a job opportunity in yeah, in the neighborhood. So I became a continuous improvement manager in a textile plant, and
Mhm.
after 4 or 5 years, my plant manager, or my boss, COO, he came to me and he asked if I wanted to become a plant manager.
Mm.
And there like starts everything. So the department he asked me to become the leader of, that was a department that was making a loss since 30 years. Everything went wrong there, like there were quality problems. So uh, there was like yeah, there were fights. There was everything went wrong there. Like there was drugs, there was like violence, there was like everything went wrong there. So he asked me like, yeah, do you want to become plant manager of that department of over 100 people? Now he gave me 2 days to reflect on it. Um, but something inside me told me like, yeah, you have to do it. Now I had like a job. Yeah, I went in all the departments, but I was sitting physically in the lab. When I opened the window, then I heard like really the frogs were making noise. So I was like really in a relaxing environment, and he asked me to go in that hell of a department. Now, yeah, after one day, I went in his office and I told him, okay, I will do it. He was surprised, and he told me like, yeah, you come in my office on Monday, I will give you your first task. And on Monday I go in his office, and he gives me like a list with some names on it, 27 names on it. And yeah, this is your first task. Here you have 27 names. Go in the department and fire them.
Oh.
So that was my first my first thought, to go back in the department and to fire them. Now, one thing was like, of course, I felt fooled because he did not prepare me for anything. But the other thing was like, I looked at the list, and I knew from the 108 people working in the plant, I knew maybe 5, 6 by name, and 2 of them were on the list. So, but these were like really good workers. They were like, yeah, I came in all the departments, so I knew like the people I could ask something, the people who respected me, who know like really the machines, they were like really skilled, respectful people, and they were on the list. So I was surprised. So I go down and in the department, and yeah, the people were queuing up like to hear like what the news was. The unions were there, and so the first people who came to me were the people of the unions. Of course, they were not on the list because it's too difficult to fire them. So there was like an attitude for the people queuing, like, yeah, what is this again? Like, now the seventh who came to me, he was on the list, and that guy worked 30 years in the company. He lived like 100 meters from the plant. Yeah, he started working there when he was like 14 or 16. It was really like, it was non-skilled, but you could ask everything from him, and he was on the list. So I told him, yeah, please go to your locker and just empty it and go home. So he looked at me like surprised, and he asked me like, yeah, when can I come back? So I told him, you cannot come back, you're fired. Now the moment he understood that the game was over, like, yeah, it felt like energetically that he went through the floor. Like it was like really a heavy guy, but yeah, it felt like that guy suddenly, yeah, had a weight of like 500 pounds, like, and he turned around and he went away. Now the moment that he went away, and the people saw that this guy was fired, I saw like their faces changing. Their faces, they changed, and I saw the fear in their eyes, but like really deep fear, like then. And they were some were literally shaking when they came to me with the list in my hands. And that moment I decided, yeah, I have to do something for these people, because when I don't do anything for these people, they will just, yeah, be kicked out soon. So the plan was, so in the morning, that CEO told me like, yeah, this is the first list of 27, but the rest of the 108, they will go out within 3 months. Now, when I saw the fear in the eyes of the people thinking like, yeah, I have a student going to the university, I have a house to pay. They were thinking like, how will I pay it? Because it was a period. There were not a lot of jobs like, and these people, they were like really scared of losing their jobs. Now, the moment I saw the anxiety in the eyes, I got a flashback. I got a flashback to my youth. Now, I told you my dad was a doctor. Uh, when I was 5, 6, I was really young. My dad came home and he started beating up my mom. So I saw
Oh.
him beating up my mom. I was sleeping. I woke up and I went down to interfere. So I came in between. So stop, stop, stop. Now the day after, my dad came to me and he told me like, yeah, I will remind you of the fact that you came in between the fight between me and my mom, so his wife, um, and he told me like, I will remember you for this fact, and he started beating me up. And every time he had the chance to beat me up, he came to me to beat me up.
Oh.
So I really got like introvert, like yeah, really introvert. Now that lasted like for until I was 13, and he beat me up that day like so heavily that I broke 2 ribs. I started throwing up blood, but I was immune. I became immune for all the violence, so I just stood up and I told them like, yeah, I will not just be 13 for the rest of my life. So I will grow up. And I went away. And the moment I was on my bike, I drove home. My brother was watching. He called my mom. Yeah, now he's killing him. So they were aware of it. They were aware of it, and they were just looking at it. Um, I was on my bike, and I was thinking later on, I want to do something for people who are like abused, who are like victim of other people abusing their position, their strength, their whatever. So I wanted to kind of protect the underdog. That was the moment that I drove home. Like, yeah, often getting these beatings of my dad. I drove home. I still remember the clothes I was wearing, etc. Now, the moment that I was on that bike, I was thinking like later on, I have to do something against like people who are like abusing their position, etc. Now, the moment that these people were in front of me, I got that flashback to that moment that I was on my bike, and that moment I knew like, yeah, this is my mission, and that is why it's so deeply integrated in me.
Wow. I'm sorry that you have a very rough childhood, and then it was very brave of you at that moment. You drove a bike and promised to yourself that you're gonna protect the weak and protect the people who are less fortunate and stop the abuse. So so tell us more. You know what happened after that at the plan? How it's transformed into the mission that you wanna do. To make 10 million people and be more fulfilled, be more happy at work at home.
Yeah, yeah. So the first idea was okay. I had that list of 27, so I was thinking like, yeah, they got all their letters at home, like that. So for 23 of them, it was too late. So I could save 4 people that day. Could save 4 people's jobs that day. So in the evening, I went to the HR manager and I told him, "Do you know what you did? Like you fired all the people who were working in the weekend." They asked me to produce like still some weeks or some months with these people, but they fired like it was a line that was running 365 days a year, 24/7, and they took away. Just did not know, like they just fired all the weekend workers, so I could not produce in the weekend anymore. So I told them that and that and that and that. You call them back and get them back because otherwise I cannot produce in the weekend. So like that, 4 people from the weekend who were on the list were already saved. So it became 23. Now, I still regret that I could not save these 23. But then, the moment that, you know, the moment that the people in the plant started like hearing that from these 4, that they were fired, that they got a letter at home, and that in the evening they got like the phone that they had to come back. They knew like something is going on. So the trust started. Like I made a complete model of it, like what I did during the period as a plant manager. So the first idea was, okay, I have to save as much people as I can. So on the first day, I lost 23, but I saved 4. So but then my goal was like all the other ones, I want them to be safe. I want them I want their families to be safe. I want them to grow in their job. Now the first thing you have to do is then to get the trust, because in that kind of situations people feel that trust is not there. So I started working with them and like trusting them, listening to them. In fact, when you start as a plant manager, the only thing that matters is the attitude, is not the skills you have. I did not have like any experience being a plant manager. I was never a plant manager. I never lead like a group of people. So, but I started listening, and I started like also making sure that I had a good connection with the team leaders. We had 5 team leaders, and so they then took responsibility over their group. That was the first thing, and then we started working together. Now, the thing is, we had to make like money soon, because when you don't make money, you can do whatever you want. If you're making like a loss as a department, they just stop the department. It's like it's just like that. So I was thinking like, how can we start now making money in a short period? Now the good thing was like I worked in that department since like 4 or 5 years as a continuous improvement management. So I knew the machines, I knew the materials, I knew like what was going on technically. Now the previous plant manager, he always blocked me. So I wanted to come in that department and tell him like, okay, if you do that and that and that and that, you will improve your production system. He didn't listen. Like he was kind of stubborn. No. So now that period, also I had holidays planned since 6 months before. So I went to Australia in that period. So I told my girlfriend, I have to take my laptop with me to Australia. So she told me, like, are you crazy? Like taking your laptop? We are on holidays, and so we went to Queensland, and I had my computer with me. But I knew like I have to guide these guys through that process of changing like materials and settings of the machines and etc. Otherwise, they are out. So in Australia, I still remember like, and I had like an immense jet lag there. But I had to give like the settings to these people in the department. So I told these guys like, okay, that button you put on like setting A, that button you put on that setting. The materials, you change material X to material Y, etc. So they changed everything and told them, I still remember, and changed the speed of the machine from 180 to 220. And they were like, we were on the phone, and are you crazy? Like that machine is already like giving us so much trouble at 180, and you want to increase the speed with 40 meters a minute? I told them like, just try it, and they did it, and that machine started running. Like it started, and from the first month we started making money. So for the management, it was like really a surprise. Like, how come? That department is suddenly after 30 years making money. In a situation where we told like 27 people that you're out. So they started making money, and we started making more money, more and more and more money. Now in the meantime, like even some machines were sold, etc. So it was really like struggling from one day to the other. But yeah, we managed to overcome that first period of 3 months. And the management started thinking, yeah, what will we do? And yeah, now by just working with the people, and yeah, the summary is in one document, just in one paper, where I made a model of how we did it in that department, starting with trust. That's the key. Starting with trust, with respect for people, with continuous improvement, engaging people, and then yeah, during the later phases, we went then deeper and deeper into connection with the people, giving them purpose, making them self-reliant, etc. Now, in the end, after 4.5 years, all the people were safe. So they could go to another department, or they could take a paycheck. But from yeah, from the 108 people, no one was fired, no one left the department, so they all were in the end safe. But I had to work for them like 16, 17 hours a day. Yeah, 4.5 years. And then 6, 7 days a week.
So what happened after that?
Yeah. What do you think? Like after that, so I was fired.
Oh.
So after 4.5 years, I knew that it would happen. So first, I was like isolated for some months, and then they fired me. I was still in that department in the dark, and then really in the dark. So the lights were off, and my office was still in that department. And then after 5 months, they fired me. So I went to court. I lost in court. Then I went in appeal, and I won after 4 years or so. I won in appeal. But all these people, I still have contact with all these people, and but I was fired, and that was the end. They were safe, and yeah.
You know, some laws actually seems to be a better, open door for the new opportunity and better opportunity, and that's probably the reason that it opened doors for you to open, to create your own company, that and then making your own legacy after that. And then the impact and the influence actually having that you are creating now, having more than just 100 people that you be in touch on the daily basis back then, right? Tell us about go ahead. Go ahead.
Also that period, I wanted to I'm training people how you can achieve goals. So that was the period that I started listing for myself, like how many goals could I achieve for myself in 1 year. And I made a list, and I ended up with 32 goals. And one of the goals, the last goal, was like organize a conference about happiness at work, where you have at least 250 HR or CEOs attending. So I organized that conference for the first time in 2018 in Belgium, and it was sold out. So we had like 300 people, something like that.
What year was that?
That was in 2018. That was the first edition of Happiness at Work. It was amazing to see the vibe and to see like these HR managers and these CEOs then picking up like mainly the vibe of Happiness at Work. And that period, like normally it was the purpose was to do it once. But it was such a success. It was like really a sunny day in October, and like it was like a fairy tale. So that they asked, okay, we have to do it a second time. So we did it then in 2019. We did it again, and then we started having like the presenter. She came to me and she told me like, yeah, you are used to set goals, why don't you put a goal for yourself to make it like the biggest conference, happiness at work conference in the world?
Oh.
And yeah, I just reflected like for 5 seconds, and then I told, okay, it's a promise, we will do that. And so then we started making plans to make the conference like really big. Now in 2022 we organized Happiness at Work for the third time. We wanted to do it in 2020 and in 2021, but that was postponed due to COVID. But in 2022 we did it again. And even during COVID, like the audience went from 250 to 1,000.
Wow.
And so when you Google on Happiness at Work conference, like we are like in 2022, we were already like the biggest in the world with 1,000 people. Now the goal is to make it like really big. And yeah, one of the things is the biggest theater in Belgium can hold 15,000 people, and that is still like one of the goals to one day fill the Sport Palace, that's the venue, with 15,000 people.
Next year.
No, not next year. That jump is too big. Like you really have to, yeah, you really have to grow it, and it's not. You cannot go from 1,000 to 15,000 people just like that. The people have to be ready for that. It's not that easy to. Yeah, it's already crazy to go from 250 to 1,000, like from one edition to the in COVID times. That's already crazy. Like most audiences, they just were divided by 5, by 10 even, like, and we multiplied it by 4.
Wow, Jim. Um, the hardest thing is getting from 0 to 1, right? So from 0 to 1,
Yeah.
now you got up until 1,000 already. So it will get there one day because you have a purpose. You have, a system of doing that. You have the people, the trusting and believe in the works you do already. So if you keep doing that and if you keep continue to expand and expand, I'm sure it's gonna happen. The beautiful thing is like this is we haven't catch in here how from the moment that you got fire and then you got appeal and then transform you from a person in the industrial engineering textile background and very engineering background and moving into the space of like a consulting and in the happiness side of the at the human side. Tell us how that transition happens though.
Well, that's a long story. It started with the moment that we did a kind of a test. I don't know if you know Meyer-Briggs test.
Yes.
So it's a MBTI test, and I did it. I think in the first time in 2006 or something. And I saw my profile, and I saw like how limited I was.
Oh.
So I had a profile, and that is like really a profile of people, of like introvert people, data-based people. Yeah, like really like thinking if you have like the data and you have the proof, then you are right. But that it was so limited, and that HR girl who told me like, yeah, you are not touching me. That was kind of like, damn, I'm not reaching all the people. So how come? And that was the period that I started like looking for trainings. So when you look in my LinkedIn profile, you will see that like I did 50, 60 trainings, like all paid by myself. Also during that period as a plant manager, I asked my boss several times, like, can I do that training? Can I do that training? He just refused. I paid it myself, and I took days off and I paid it myself. So it's like the will to change, and not to think that like the way you are, that is the best way you are. And I really had a profile. I don't see people from that type changing. So that's like really a conservative type of people. But I'm when when the books say like that type of people is very difficult to change, then there's some rebel in me who is internally telling me, yeah, but you know, show the books that they are not right, and that rebel made that the profile I wanted to go completely to the other side, and the other side, it was like kind of the profile of the average yoga teacher. And I did the test again in 2018, and
It changed.
I got the complete opposite
Really?
profile than I had. But it took me 12 years and then like 50, 60 trainings to do, and some trainings of like took me like 300 hours or 24 days for one training. So it was not just like trainings of half an hour. But yeah, if you want to change something, you can change something, and that's with everything. So the will, and that is something like I'm really happy. Like also I'm happy for like for what my dad did to me. Like I'm really happy. Like I forgave him, and like I don't have contact with him anymore. But like on a spiritual level or whatever, like one, I'm happy that I'm born like, because I think it's like a privilege to be born as somebody who turns like a bad situation into like an opportunity. You can go in a role as a victim, or you can be the other type and then say like, damn, I'm here in a bad situation, how can I use it, yeah, to make it like my power. And that made me really made me strong. So that there I'm grateful for. But also like, yeah, the will I have to, if I have something in mind, if I want to achieve something, I will go until it's done. And that is like kind of, it's internal alignment. If you don't keep your promises to yourself, you know, what is that then? If you fool yourself, then you never can be happy.
Wow. Never happy. I write it down. I'm writing it down. Hey Jim, earlier you say that you came to talk to an HR manager and she refused to get your data in, right? And then in 2018, you were able to invite more than 250 not only HR people but also the CEOs and stuff, like, the high level people to join your happiness at work conference. You know,
Yeah.
tell us the secret. How were you able to persuade that many people, at a high profile to join a conference that you're creating for the first time?
Yeah, it's of course there's a problem, eh? Like to have a market, you need a problem. Like look like every product is a solution to something. When I look around me here, like and you have like air conditioning, here's like a remote control of an air conditioning, like that's there because they're like, okay, we are in India, it's warm here. People don't want to sweat, so they invent like air conditioning. So that's the same with happiness at work. The hidden potential on the work floor, it's tremendous. Like and the moment that I saw like people who were like really, they were always they were always sick, they were not at work, and etc. I started thinking like, damn, I need these people in my the department. Why are they always absent? I was convinced that I could change that. So you saw during the period that I was a plant manager that the absenteeism rates dramatically dropped. They dropped from over 10% to less than 0.3% in that period. Now, the moment that I saw like what we could do, and the moment that I got like an overview of the steps you can make to engage people, to connect with people, the moment that I had that overview, and I shared that that overview yeah, with the world on LinkedIn, etc. Of course, a lot of people, they recognized like the problem, because they saw like, okay, we also have like employee turnover, we also have like burnouts, we also have people not at work. And we also have people not engaged. So if you look at the numbers of the people who are like engaged at work, it's dramatically to see. Um, yeah, how few people are really engaged at work, and that
Mm.
is like a loss of potential. So yeah, it was like kind of for them, yeah, an opportunity, like to make everything easy, and just to make like yeah,
Not that,
think
Jim. Not that.
yeah,
Not that, because things happen like that in front of everybody. All right, but
uh,
you were the one who be able to see the solution and capitalize on it. So you need to teach us, how did you observe the situation and be able to bring out a solution for that. It's not in the realm of what you are doing. What you are doing, your
yeah,
expertise was in the, in the engineering side, right? And realize
mm,
the workforce issue was actually in the realm of management and human resources. So how were you able to see the issues like that, and then and find the solutions that can marketable
yeah,
for companies?
yeah. Yeah, that the first thing is like, if you look at and that is like, I learned a lot, of course, when I met people really the top in the world in lean manufacturing, and
Mm.
these people, they start look at where is the added value, where is the added value, and the added value is mainly in the people like doing the work.
Oh.
That they bring value to the products, they bring value to the services, like. Um, the moment that you start like respecting the people who really do the work, and you put yourself in their position,
Mm.
that is like you can go in an ego role, like really the masculine dominance, and telling people what to do, or you go in their role.
Mm.
You respect their expertise. You respect their feelings, their emotions, their needs, etc. The moment that you do that, you go into. You are already a lot stronger, because you know, like the lower you go in hierarchy, the more people there are. Now, if you can win like these people for you, by just like making them like responsible, making them like feeling valued. The moment that these people, that you get them like really going in the same direction as you want them to go, or that, then you get really powerful. So that's one thing. Now, what I saw is like leading by example. Leading by example as a manager, as a leader, that is key. So the people don't move if the leader is not moving.
Mm.
And I worked there like, they saw like I worked there like 16, 17 hours a day for them, because I told them like, I go on until everybody job is safe.
Mm.
They sometimes they came in my office and they told me, you don't have to do so much for us. Like, don't risk yourself for us. I was an engineer. I did not care. Like, if they fired me, yeah, like within like 1 2 months, I could find something else. But these people, they had less chances on the on the just on the labor market. They had less chances.
Mm.
So that's thing. Just valuing like the people going into their position. Think about like what is everything looking like if you go in their position, in their minds, and
Mm.
then leading by example. Making the path, like it's kind of making the path for them in the jungle.
Mm. Wow. Wow. Jim, how did tell us about the 40 lean model that you created? What is that about?
Yeah, yeah. The For the lean model, it's Yeah, it's a combination. It's a combination. It's like it's it's a consciousness model. So it's kind of also the way I did, like from a rational engineer to a more emotional person to like even yeah, the spiritual side inside. But it's also a timeline, like in my period as a plant manager, how I tackled all the issues. So you can look at the model as an individual, and you can look at the model as a company. So the model, you can even download it on the website for lean.com slash and then model, and then you will see like it's even in Dutch and in English, and so there are like several versions of it. Now, mainly I saw like seven types of people or seven types of organizations, and that is like in the model. Afterwards, during COVID, I made a digital scan of it, so you really can make it like visual for yourself. What is my rational part? What is my emotional part? And what is my intuitive part? Now, what we see in that model is that when you ask people, because the scan you can do, so the digital scan I created, you can do it for yourself, but then also you can optionally estimate like the work environment. How do you, what's your perception of the work environment? And then you see a gap. Now, in each relation, it's like the moment that there is a gap between what you want and what you get, the bigger the gap becomes, the closer you come to a break. And you can measure it. So what you see, for example, on that scale, if you have like a company with, and I call it an DQ, you have EQ, IQ, I call it DQ, and the D stands for dimension, because I have like 7 dimensions in my model. Now, when you have like a company with a DQ between 1 and 2, you see a tremendous increase in risk of burnout, employee turnover, and absenteeism. Another thing you see in the model is there's a shift going on, like a shift between millennials and Gen X. There's a shift going on between Gen Z and millennials, and they are moving towards more spirituality now as a company, towards more freedom, towards more balance, towards more well-being. Now, as a company, if you are convinced that you don't have to change anything, you stay like in your dimension, and all the new generations, they are shifting further and further away from you. That means that the chances of retaining these employees are getting less and less and less. When you see now Gen Z, in average, they work 2 years for a company. 2 years. In my generation, I'm from Generation X, it was 10 years. So that means for HR people, yeah, they have to hire 5 times more people than in my period. But that means loss of experience, loss of, you have to add trainings. So the cost is tremendous, but also the culture, like always like changing people. The stability in the organization, yeah, is going away, and yeah. So that's all hidden in that model. So it's a digital scan with an overview of the period, how I tackled like all the issues, or how I could save all these people. So that's the summary in it, but it's also my personal journey from a rational engineer towards yeah, a more conscious man.
Wow. I'm writing it down. Thanks a lot for sharing that. And Jim, um, I have two last questions for our conversation today. All right. And the first question is about thinking, because my wife and I are in the process of, in the quest to help people improve their ability to think, because both of us believe that our ability to think these days is diminishing, so it's not increasing. And every chance that we talk to expert, every chance we talk to like people with deep thinking like you are, we ask this question: Jim, how have you been helping yourself to expand your ability to think?
Well, yeah, there I have to I have to say sometimes I say I don't think I do.
Ah,
So my thinking mainly comes from my heart.
ah,
And why is it? Like if you look at it, if you have to take a decision and you have two options, option
mm.
A and option B, how big is the chance that you are right? Yeah,
Don't know.
it's a question. Yeah. So if you have two options,
Ah,
theoretically, like so I have two objects here.
yep,
Yeah. Which of both is the biggest? Yeah. So
yep.
you have option A and option B. So you have like 50% chance that you're right. Yeah.
Go with your heart.
If you think no, yeah. If you think with your mind, yeah, you think like, yeah, okay, I have two objects and I will think about like which one is now the right decision. You have 50% chance that you're right.
Mm,
Now, if you compare that to a decision made by the gut,
mm,
yeah, if you meet somebody and you ask like your gut, like, do I trust this guy? Yes or no? How big is the chance that you're right? Is it bigger or is it lower than 50%? That's based on your gut.
uh, I if I said in my experience, it seems to be higher chance. But
Yeah,
then based on statistical data, it shows that our gut feeling betrays us more than give us the right answer. So I was
yeah,
lucky
yeah,
though.
yeah, yeah. That's the gut. Now,
Mm.
if you ask a question to your heart, and I ask you like your dad or whatever, like, do you love him?
Of course, yes.
How sure are you about that answer?
Uh, of course, I'm very sure about that answer.
So if you think about that, like the head, the gut, and the heart, a decision made by the heart is a lot stronger than a decision made by the mind. So
Beautiful.
that's and the percentages in between the three options, that's something to discuss about. But a decision made by the heart is the strongest decision you can make, and that is like the moment that I start like seeing this, I just I take all my decisions from my heart, and if I'm wrong, then I'm wrong. Then it's like my path to learn from it. But I
Wow.
don't take decisions with my mind.
Wow. And that perhaps is a values that you been carry out with you for a very long time. That's what you did at the plan, trying to save the job for
Yeah,
that hundreds people, right? So
yeah. I was crazy. I was crazy. People told me like, "Are you crazy to go into that department?" But my heart told me like, "Do it."
if you don't, who else gonna do it, right?
Yeah, but also like the regret of not doing the things your heart is telling you to do. Yeah, it's a part. It's a lesson. Like it's like yeah, it just determined my life, and it will determine the life of a lot of people. And when I would have asked my mind yes or no, 100% would have said no.
Mm.
Clearly, no. There
Wow.
was nothing to win for me in that department. Nothing, zero, nothing. It was all for the other.
Mm. Well, Jim, I will go to the last question of our conversation today. All right. And before
Yeah,
that, I want to say congratulate for for the whole transformation that you had on yourself and being able to bring that into practice. And then you're gonna help a lot of people to transform, their life through happiness also and be more fulfilling. And we knew that you got a challenge in life when you were young, being abusive and stuff that gave you the strength to stand up and go against that and protect the people who in need, right? And we want to head into the future a little bit here. team. Okay. Is there anything that you and your team are working on that you want to share? That you feel excited about that you want to share with us, so we can celebrate with you in advance.
Yeah. Of course, we have. If you want to reach like 10 million people, um, you have to make like big plans, and you have to reach people in yeah, each individual has another way to reach, and that is why we created like a complete ecosystem. Now we built like a complete ecosystem. Some parts are already running, other parts we are building, and that ecosystem is called, it has five pillars, and it's called heart. Yeah,
Call what?
so
Heart.
heart,
Ah.
heart, yeah, really, yeah, so heart. So the first letter is the H of hope.
Hope.
Yeah. Hope, that will be a foundation. So when I promised like I will reach 10 million people, then I was thinking like what is reaching 10 million people. So I want to build a foundation where all the income, I don't have kids, so in the end I will give everything away. So the income of the ecosystem I want to give to hope, to the foundation hope. And there I want, by 2035, I want to give at least 10 million euro to that foundation. So that's the foundation hope, but I hope to build it by mid 2023. So that's hope. So that is my charity part. So, if people think like, yeah, but it's to make money, yeah, in the end it will be to make money, but it will be to make money to support like less fortunate people. So that's the hope section. Then we have the E. So the E is experience. So experience is, these are all the type of conferences we are organizing, but we integrate experiences. So last time what we did, we integrated, for example, smells. So we went in the audience with smells. For example, a smell for creativity, a smell for connection, a smell for happiness. So we use the senses of the people. We used music, we used lights, visuals, smells, we will use taste, we will use we try to integrate all the human senses to make the effect even bigger. So the E is for experience, so that is like, let's call it next level conferences. So there the plan is still to have one day a conference for 15,000 people with full experience in. Yeah. Then we have the A. The A is academy. So academy is like, in my model, it's based on my model. How do you go from step 1 to step 2? Like, first you do the measurement. So you do the scan, that you know where am I right now, because meet people where they are. Like, if you try to bring them like faster or like whatever in a shortcut towards the future, it's not working. So meet people where they are, and then, but how do you have to do it? So that is why we are creating an academy to show like organizations, to show individuals, okay, you are now here, you want to go to the next point, how do you do that? These are the options. So it's like really a digital like library of options, how you can make the next steps instead of going into the jungle of the internet and like getting lost there. It's like a guided way to go to the next step. That's the academy. Then we have the R. That's the R of revolution. R of revolution. That is, in fact, the conferences, it's like really the highlight of the year. But in between, we have to keep like the people, connected. So that is why, for example, every week I do a coffee break. So I do like kind of a webinar, a short webinar with people. That is part of the it's kind of a movement, of a movement where we try to make people clear, like, okay, guys, start now moving, start creating the revolution of making people happy, and thinking that happy people are just bringing better results for companies also. So it's a win-win. Yeah. So that's the revolution part. We also have actions and workshops and etc. So that is like to keep in between like two conferences to keep people like really working on yeah what they want to achieve, and if they need information, then they get it in the academy. So that's the construction, and then we have the T. The T is the tech part. We are, for example, doing
The what?
now the T of tech. So that
Like
is
technology.
technical,
Yeah.
yeah, technology, technical solutions. Um, this is, for example, we are doing trials with VR, with
Oh.
the VR options. We are doing like the smells and the music. These are like shortcuts for people who say like, yeah, I don't have time to do like a training, or I don't have time for for to go into a longer period of studying or whatever. Like these are like really short solutions to help people already get into the right mindset.
Mm.
So
Wow.
that's the hard ecosystem. And in the end, I want to bring all the money to charity. So that's my goal to reach like 10 million people. And in the end, when I leave Earth, I can say here, this is what I did.
Wow. Jim, my heart is with you. It's very noble in the works that you do, and you have a big plan in place. You also have big goals in place. You have a big plan in place also to make it happen. And I wish that you're gonna have all the support, all the resource that you need, all of the love that you that come to you, so that you can achieve the goal of that 10 million people. Uh, like trained and be happier and be more fulfilled in their life and works, and because that is what needed. Work is a part of
Yeah,
life, and we all at the end want to be happy, right? So somewhere,
yeah,
somewhat along the way, that happiness seems to be luxuries for a lot of us. Now, through your works, we bring it back, that luxuries, to what we should have, and must have in our life. So thanks a lot for doing that, and thanks a lot for spending your time uh, to join our show and share your purpose, your goal, and how you get in there. All right,
yeah.
and I want to say thank you. Thanks a lot.
Yeah, thank you for having me. And maybe one last thing to
Please.
close here. Like in fact, when I really started lifting my bum and started doing actions, was the moment that I got the question, "What's the goal in your life?"
Mm.
Yeah. So when I went in 2015 to America, Norman Bodek. He wrote 250 management books. I was in his training. It was part of like yeah, to save my department. And when I was in his training, he asked me the question, "What's the goal in your life?" And I was 46 that time, and I could not answer that question. And that moment, I started thinking, then if you don't know the goal in your life, what are you doing all day?
Mm.
When I ask that question, when I have a keynote to, let's say, 200 people in the audience, maybe 4 or 5 lift their hands. Although the other, they don't, or they don't want to say it, or they don't know the answer. What's the goal in your life?
Mm.
And the 5, they are always answering the same thing. I want to be happy in life.
Mm.
And then I ask the next question, how will you do that? And then it stops. People don't know how to become happy. And
Mm.
that is one of the reasons why I created, or why we are building also that art
Model.
construction,
Mm.
to help people find a way to happiness, balance, and themselves.
Wow. Thanks a lot for sharing, Jim, and keep on doing that. Because, like you say, a lot of us lost not knowing, you know, our goals in life, right? Even if we know that
Yeah,
we want to be happy, but we don't have the the blueprint to get there. And
yeah,
your job help them to get there. Please do that more. Okay.
Yeah, and I'm really getting energy when I see people become the best version of themselves, and that is the way to happiness. The moment that you become the best version of yourself.
Yep. Thanks, my friend. Enjoy India and have a safe trip. Travel back to Belgium and keep in touch. And the next time that you do the happiness conference, you let me know. I will try to promote it together with you to make it more audience. And until you get into the point of 15,000 audience, and I'm sure it's gonna be one of the biggest conference on happiness already last this year, right?
Yeah,
So the upcoming time
uh-huh.
is going to be bigger and bigger and bigger. All right.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
All right, my
yeah,
friend. Yeah. So
yeah. Thank you
you,
for having me. Thank you for your support.
thank you very much for your generosity spending your morning with me. I really appreciate that. If you travel to Vietnam, you let me know. Okay.
Yeah, I will do. I will do. See
I
you.
see you. Bye bye.
Okay. Bye bye. Bye bye. Bye bye.
Bye.